Ethan Cole wiped his hands on his apron and looked around the empty cafeteria of Colony Delta 7. It was early morning and most of the workers were still in their quarters. The smell of fried protein patties and boiled vegetables hung in the air. Ethan usually enjoyed the quiet mornings. He liked to tidy up, prepare meals, and make sure everything was ready for the busy lunch hour. But today something felt different. A soft scratching sound came from the corner of the cafeteria. Ethan turned, frowning. There was nothing there, just the long rows of tables and chairs, shining under the artificial lights. He shook his head. Maybe he was imagining it. He went back to arranging trays. Then he saw them. Tiny figures, no bigger than a small cat, peeking out from behind a stack of crates. Their skin shimmered in bright colors, pink, green, and blue. Their eyes were round and wide, glowing faintly like little lanterns. Ethan froze. Who are you?" he asked quietly, stepping closer. The little creatures didn't move quickly. They only blinked and looked at him. One of them, a bright green one with tiny wings folded against its back, stepped forward slowly. Its small voice, soft and musical, said, "Hungry?" Ethan felt a pang in his chest. These children were clearly hungry and they looked fragile. He knelt down and opened a tray of breakfast patties. "Here, take some," he said gently, sliding a piece toward them. The green one hesitated for a moment, then took the food carefully with tiny claws. The others followed. They ate quietly, moving with a patience that seemed almost human. Ethan watched them, amazed. He had worked on the colony for 5 years and had seen all kinds of aliens, but never anything like this. He didn't know where they came from. He didn't know who their parents were. All he knew was that they were children and that they needed food. The next day they came again. And the day after that. Ethan began to prepare extra meals just for them, leaving them near the back corner of the cafeteria. Other human workers noticed and some were worried. "You know you shouldn't feed unknown aliens," one cook said. "They could be dangerous. They could even be spies." Ethan shook his head. "They're just kids. Look at them. Do they look dangerous to you?" The workers shrugged, uneasy. Ethan didn't care. He felt something inside him that said he had to help. Every day the children waited quietly, patiently, until he came. And every day, he felt a strange warmth when he saw their glowing eyes brighten at the sight of food. One morning, as Ethan handed a plate to the green one, he noticed something new. A small pendant hung around the child's neck. It was shaped like a star and it glowed faintly. When Ethan's fingers brushed it by accident, the light pulsed quickly, almost like a heartbeat. He gasped. The child looked up at him, not afraid, only curious. The pendant's glow faded, but the warmth in Ethan's chest lingered. He had never seen technology like that. The pendant didn't look dangerous, but it felt important. Days passed and the children grew more comfortable. They began to mimic him, laughing softly when he made silly faces while serving food. Ethan laughed too, feeling a joy he hadn't felt in a long time. For a few hours each day, the cafeteria was full of small giggles and tiny footsteps. It was alive. One evening, as he was cleaning up after the lunch rush, Ethan heard a low humming sound. He froze and looked around. The lights flickered. The children, who had come for their extra meal, all looked up at the ceiling as if sensing something. Their eyes glowed brighter. Suddenly, a shadow passed across the window. Ethan ran to the viewing screen and saw something he could not believe. A massive starship hovered above the colony, its hull dark and shining. It blocked the light of the nearby sun. Ethan's heart pounded. What is that?" he whispered. The children chirped softly, their glowing eyes flicking between him and the ship. The green one stepped closer to him, pressing against his leg. Ethan bent down and stroked its head. "It's okay. I've got you." The humming grew louder and the cafeteria lights flickered again. Ethan's stomach twisted. He had no idea what was happening. He didn't know why the ship had come or what it wanted. All he knew was that these children were helpless without him. Suddenly, the green child pointed a tiny claw at him. The pendant on its neck glowed brighter than before, sending a soft golden light across the room. Ethan felt a strange warmth rush through him, like a pulse in his chest. The other children huddled closer to him, their small bodies trembling slightly, but their eyes full of trust. Then the doors to the cafeteria slid open with a hiss. Ethan froze, holding the green child close. The humming outside grew louder. A group of tall, armored figures stepped through, their movements precise and powerful. They were unlike anything Ethan had seen, alien soldiers, their skin shimmering faintly, their eyes glowing like embers. The children cried out softly, clinging to him. Ethan's heart raced. He had no weapons, no plan, only a tray in one hand and his courage in the other. A tall figure separated from the group. Its presence was commanding, almost regal. The children's eyes lit up and they ran toward it. The green one whispered something that sounded like, "Mother." Ethan's jaw dropped. The child's mother was here? And not just any mother, this figure radiated power. The armored soldiers bowed slightly as the figure approached. The figure knelt to the children, gently lifting them into its arms. The children giggled softly, and their glowing eyes brightened even more. Ethan took a cautious step forward. The figure turned to him, eyes glowing warmly, and spoke in a soft but firm voice. "Thank you for keeping them safe." Ethan blinked. "Why, you're their mother?" The figure nodded. "Yes. And you, human, have done more than you know. You have earned our trust." Ethan's mind spun. He had only tried to feed hungry children. He had never imagined their mother would be someone so powerful, or that she would come looking for them. The starship outside seemed to hum in agreement, casting a golden light through the windows. Ethan looked down at the children, then back at the figure. Somehow he knew that his life and theirs was about to change forever. He swallowed hard and whispered to himself, "I guess lunch isn't just lunch anymore." And in that moment, Ethan realized he was part of something far bigger than he had ever imagined. Ethan's hands trembled as he stood frozen in the cafeteria. The towering figure before him radiated power unlike anything he had ever seen. The children clung to her, their small arms wrapped tightly around her legs. Their glowing eyes shone with trust and recognition. Ethan didn't know whether to be amazed or terrified. The figure's skin shimmered with iridescent colors that shifted like liquid metal in the lights. Her hair flowed like a river of silver and gold, moving gently as if it had its own life. Her eyes glowed softly, warm yet commanding, and her presence filled the room with a heavy calm. "I am Queen Lysera," she said, her voice deep and melodic. "And you, human, have shown kindness to my children." Ethan swallowed hard. I didn't know who they were. I just gave them food. That's all." Queen Lysera knelt slightly, bringing herself closer to the children. Each one whispered softly to her, their tiny voices like chimes. They called her Mother, and she responded with gentle nods and soft words that Ethan couldn't understand. The children giggled and wriggled happily in her arms, completely at ease. Ethan's mind raced. These weren't ordinary aliens. They were not ordinary children either. They were royal. They were important. And he had no idea how dangerous that could be. A soft hum vibrated through the cafeteria floor. Ethan looked up to see the massive starship outside, hovering silently above the colony. Its hull reflected the sun, blocking most of its light. He could see armed figures moving across its deck, their movements precise and coordinated. Queen Lysera glanced toward the windows. "They know we are here," she said softly. "The council suspects my children's safety. They will come for them." Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. They'll attack?" he asked, gripping the edge of the counter. "They may try," she replied. Her eyes softened as she looked at him. "But you have already proven your loyalty. That is why I am speaking to you directly." Ethan took a hesitant step closer. "Me? Why me?" The Queen's gaze met his. "Because your actions were guided by compassion, not fear. You fed them without expecting reward. You kept them safe when others might have ignored them. That is rare, human. And rare is respected in my empire." The children chirped happily at Ethan's feet, their glowing eyes fixed on him as if they knew he belonged with them. He knelt and touched the green one's head gently. "I didn't do anything special," he whispered. "You did," Lysera said firmly. "And now you must decide your next step." Ethan looked at her blankly. "My next step?" Lysera straightened, her presence becoming even more commanding. "You can remain here with my children and continue to protect them. Or you may return to your simple life on this colony. The choice is yours. But understand this, if you leave you risk more than just losing the bond you have formed. You risk the children's safety. They are vulnerable. And some among my council would see them harmed if separated from you." Ethan's stomach churned. Protect the children? His mind spun. He had only wanted to feed them. He had never wanted power or responsibility. Yet now, standing in the presence of a queen, with the children looking up at him with trust, he realized he had already become part of their lives in a way that could not be undone. Suddenly, a loud metallic crash echoed from outside. The cafeteria windows rattled as a smaller group of alien soldiers approached the colony's surface. Lysera's eyes narrowed. "They are scouts. They test our defenses. If you stay human, you may need to act quickly to help them." Ethan's heart pounded. "Act? How can I? I'm not a fighter. I just cook meals." "You do not need a weapon," Lysera said calmly. Your mind, your courage, your humanity, these are more powerful than any blade or energy cannon. The children feel it. Their trust is your strength. Ethan looked down at the children. The green one pressed its tiny hand into his palm, and he felt that familiar warmth from before, the gentle pulse that made him feel connected to them. The other children leaned closer, chirping softly. He understood then, leaving them was impossible. Lysera's gaze softened. Then you have made your choice. Ethan's throat felt tight. I stay, he said. The words sounded small even to him, but they carried the weight of something greater than anything he had known. Lysera smiled, a rare expression for someone so regal. Good. You will learn human. You will adapt. You will be a guardian not just in body but in spirit. The alien scouts outside made a sudden movement, and Lysera's voice sharpened. Quickly, human. Help guide the children to safety while I deal with them. Ethan felt panic rising, but he took a deep breath. He lifted the green child into his arms and motioned for the others to follow. They ran toward a back corridor Lysera had opened. The lights flickered as the scouts fired small energy pulses toward the colony's walls. Sparks flew and the children shrieked, but Ethan kept moving, guiding them with calm words and gentle touches. Lysera stood at the cafeteria entrance, her form glowing with authority. She deflected the attacks with a sweep of her hands, sending the alien scouts tumbling back. Her presence made the attacks seem futile. Ethan reached a small service hatch in the wall and slid through with the children. They tumbled into a narrow hallway, their glowing eyes wide but trusting. He knelt and whispered to them, "It's okay. I've got you. Just stay close to me." The green child chirped happily, nuzzling his shoulder. Ethan felt that pulse of warmth again, stronger this time. It was as if the bond between him and the children had grown. He looked back toward the cafeteria where Lysera continued to hold the scouts at bay. He didn't understand all of this, the politics, the power, the alien empire, but he knew one thing: he would not abandon these children. Not now, not ever. As the sounds of the battle faded behind him, Ethan realized his life had changed completely. From a simple cook on a quiet colony, he had become a protector. And he had no idea how far that role would take him. But for now he focused on the children in his arms, their trust and warmth giving him courage. He led them down the narrow corridors, through the glowing halls of the colony, and into a safe room Lysera had prepared. And in that moment Ethan Cole understood that kindness could be more powerful than any army. And that even a simple human could make a difference in a galaxy ruled by powerful alien queens. Ethan sat on the edge of the small safe room, the green child curled in his lap and the others huddled close. Their soft, glowing eyes followed him wherever he moved. He still couldn't believe everything that had happened in the past few hours. One moment he was serving meals in the colony cafeteria. The next he was protecting the children of the ruler of a galactic empire. A soft knock came from the doorway. Ethan looked up to see Queen Lysera standing there, her presence calm but powerful. Her eyes glowed warmly as she stepped inside. The children immediately ran to her, chirping and laughing, their tails and wings flicking with happiness. She knelt to greet them and they pressed close to her, calling her mother. Ethan's heart sank a little. He had hoped the children would feel safe with him, but now he realized how small he seemed in comparison to their mother, the queen. He adjusted the green child in his arms, who nuzzled his chest, refusing to leave him. Lysera's gaze turned to Ethan. "You have shown courage and care, human," she said. "But now you must make a choice." Ethan frowned. "A choice? What do you mean?" She motioned for him to follow her. The children stayed with her, but their glowing eyes flicked toward him, watching his every move. He followed her through glowing corridors until they reached a wide chamber filled with floating golden lights and holographic screens. "Some among my council believe a human cannot remain near my children," Lysera explained. "They argue it is dangerous, that it is improper. Others see your actions and believe you are the heir's guardian. You must choose whether to stay or leave." Ethan's mind spun. Leave. Stay. He had never wanted power or responsibility. He had only wanted to feed hungry children, to help them when no one else would. And yet, he realized he had already become part of their lives in a way he could not undo. Lysera stepped closer. "If you stay, you will learn our ways and you will be trained to protect them. You will face danger as others may come for the heir. You will be part of our household, part of our empire's future." Ethan swallowed hard. Danger. Empire. Future. The words felt too big, too impossible. I'm just a cook," he whispered. "I don't know anything about this." "You know more than you think," Lysera said softly. "Your kindness, your courage, and your humanity are the greatest tools you have. That is why the children trust you. That is why you were chosen. Ethan looked down at the green child, who reached up and touched his face with a tiny claw. A warm pulse ran through him, the same feeling he had experienced when he first fed them. He realized it was more than trust. It was a bond, strong and alive. If you leave, Lysra continued, you may return to your simple life, but the heir will be vulnerable. The council will not wait for weakness. They will act to claim what they believe is theirs. Without you he may suffer. Ethan's chest tightened. He had never considered himself brave. He had never faced warriors or powerful rulers. But he could not leave the children now, not after seeing their faces, not after feeling the bond between them. Lysra's expression softened. The choice is yours, human. There is no shame in fear. There is only truth in the decision you make from your heart. Ethan knelt and gently stroked the green child's head. The child chirped softly, eyes glowing. The others nudged closer, tiny hands touching him as if urging him to stay. He felt a strange courage rising inside him, built not from strength or skill, but from responsibility and care. I stay, he said finally, his voice shaking but firm. I can't leave them. Lysra's eyes brightened slightly, and a small smile touched her lips. Then you accept the path of the guardian, she said. You will learn human. You will face trials, but you will also bring hope to the heir and to my empire. Ethan's heart pounded. Path of the guardian. He had never imagined such a thing, and yet it felt right. The children chirped happily, and the green one pressed its tiny head against his chest, nuzzling him. He realized he had never felt more needed in his life. Lysra stepped back and raised her hand. A soft golden glow filled the room, warming him and the children. The bond between you and my children is now recognized by the Empire. It cannot be broken. They will rely on you and you will rely on them. Ethan looked at the children, their small faces full of trust and hope. He took a deep breath. I don't know if I can do all this. I've never done anything like it before. You already have, Lysra said gently. You acted without thought of reward, without fear of danger. That is enough to start. Everything else will come with time. Ethan nodded slowly. He felt the weight of the decision settle on his shoulders, but it was not heavy in a way that hurt. It was heavy in a way that mattered. For the first time, he felt that his life had a purpose beyond simple meals, beyond the quiet halls of the colony cafeteria. A distant rumble shook the chamber, reminding him that danger was never far. But he looked at the glowing children around him and realized he was not afraid. Not really. I stay, he repeated, more firmly this time. I'll protect them. I'll do whatever I can. Lysra bowed her head slightly. Then you have chosen wisely. Come, human. It is time to begin your training. The path ahead will not be easy, but it will shape you as much as it will protect the heir. Ethan took one last look at the children in his arms. They chirped softly, tails flicking, wings twitching in small excitement. He felt the bond pulse stronger than ever. He realized then that he was no longer just a cook or a simple worker. He was a guardian now. And though he did not yet know the challenges to come, he knew one thing clearly. He would face them for the children, for the bond, and for the strange, glowing pulse that had chosen him as their protector. He stood, green child cradled in his arms, and followed Queen Lysra through the golden corridors of the ship. The unknown path stretched before him, filled with danger, wonder, and responsibility. But Ethan Cole had made his choice. And from this moment, nothing in his life would ever be the same. Ethan walked through the glowing corridors of Queen Lysra's ship, the children trailing behind him. Their small hands clutched his arms and clothing, and he felt the familiar pulse of warmth from the bond they shared. For the first time in his life, he realized that his simple human skills, his kindness, his quick thinking, his ability to see solutions in small, practical ways, were valuable on a galactic scale. Lysra led him to a room filled with strange devices, glowing panels, and holographic projections of planets and star systems. Alien engineers bustled about, moving quickly but carefully, monitoring screens Ethan could not understand. This is the children's chamber, Lysra explained. Here you will learn how to care for them. Not only feed them, but strengthen them, prepare them for challenges they may face as heirs of an empire. Ethan looked around, overwhelmed. The children wandered freely, fascinated by the lights and floating displays. The green one toddled over to a panel, tapping at it with tiny fingers. Sparks flew and alarms sounded briefly. Ethan hurried to lift the child before anyone could notice, feeling the usual rush of fear that he would get scolded. Lysra chuckled softly. Do not worry, human. Their curiosity is natural. You will learn to channel it and they will learn from you. Over the next days, Ethan discovered that his simple ideas could solve problems that the highly advanced alien technology could not. When the children's feeding tubes malfunctioned, he used basic heat regulation and food mixing techniques to keep them nourished. When their sleeping pods caused nightmares, he suggested gentle music and soft touch, calming them in ways the alien healers had not considered. One afternoon, the ship's alarms blared. A rival faction within the Empire had launched a covert attack, attempting to take the children while Ethan was serving meals. Ethan froze for a moment, heart pounding, but the children looked to him with trust. He knew he had to act. Using ordinary items, a cleaning droid, some trays and the children's small toys, he created barriers and distractions that slowed the intruders. The children followed his simple instructions, hiding and moving quietly. Ethan could hear the Queen's soldiers approaching, but he realized that for a few critical minutes, it was his ingenuity that kept the children safe. When the soldiers arrived, they were amazed. "How did you manage this, human?" one of them asked, panting. Ethan shrugged, brushing dust off his apron. "I just used what I had. Sometimes small ideas work better than fancy weapons." Lysra appeared behind them, her presence calm and commanding. "Indeed," she said. "This is why humanity is valued in my empire. Your creativity and practicality complement our strength and technology. You see what others do not." Ethan felt a strange pride swell in his chest. He had never thought of himself as special. Back on the colony, he had been just a cook, a janitor of meals. Now, his small human ingenuity was saving lives and earning respect from beings far more powerful than he could have imagined. The children, sensing the calm, chirped happily, glowing softly. The green one toddled to him, wrapping a tiny hand around his finger. Ethan smiled, feeling the bond pulse warmly. He realized that this was more than responsibility, it was connection. Days turned into weeks. Ethan continued to feed, protect, and teach the children. He showed them how to mix simple nutrient meals, how to clean their small quarters safely, and how to use basic problem-solving to overcome minor obstacles. The alien healers, initially skeptical, began observing him closely. They recorded his methods and started implementing small changes based on his ideas. One evening, while the children slept, Ethan sat in the quiet chamber, thinking. He realized that humans, despite being small and fragile compared to the powerful Draken species, had something unique. They could think outside patterns, improvise solutions, and act with compassion without expecting reward. That combination, he understood, was why he had been chosen as guardian. Suddenly, alarms sounded again. A different faction of the Empire had attempted a secret boarding of the ship. Ethan's first instinct was panic, but he quickly scanned the room. With only a few supplies at hand, floating cleaning devices, trays, and a small energy emitter, he devised a plan. He instructed the children to follow his lead, using their small size to move through narrow vents while he triggered the emitters to block the corridors. The alien soldiers who came in were forced to retreat, confused by the clever use of such simple human tools. Lysra appeared at the doorway, her eyes wide. "You have done it again," she said, her voice a mixture of surprise and admiration. "Your mind is remarkable." Ethan laughed nervously. "I'm just thinking like I would back on the colony. Use what you have and keep them safe." The Queen nodded slowly. "That is why humans are extraordinary. You bring strength that is unseen, not in power but in ingenuity and heart." That night, Ethan stayed awake, watching the children sleep. Their small breathing was steady, their tiny hands curled around soft blankets. The green one shifted slightly and reached for his hand, and he held it gently. He realized that he was not only feeding them, not only protecting them, he was teaching them courage, creativity, and trust. Ethan understood then that the bond he shared with the children was more than emotional. It was practical too. His humanity, simple, compassionate, clever, had become a shield for them, a force that even the most advanced alien technology could not replace. He smiled softly, brushing a strand of glowing hair from the green child's eyes. He thought about the challenges ahead, the rival factions and the council who doubted him, and he felt no fear. Humanity's ingenuity had brought him this far, and it would carry him further. For the first time, Ethan Cole felt truly part of something larger than himself. He was not just a cook, not just a human on a distant colony. He was a protector, a teacher, and a guardian of the children who carried the future of an entire empire. And he knew that as long as he stayed true to his simple human ways, no force in the galaxy could break the bond he had formed. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment, listening to the soft hum of the ship and the gentle breathing of the children. He was ready for whatever came next, confident that humanity's ingenuity and his heart would guide him through any challenge. The ship floated silently above Colony Delta 7, its hull glowing softly against the black of space. Inside, Ethan Cole moved quietly through the corridors, the green child tucked in his arms and the others following closely. The events of the past weeks had changed everything. He was no longer just a cook. He was a guardian, a protector of the children who carried the future of a galactic empire. Queen Lysera walked beside him, her presence calm and radiant. The children chirped softly, their small hands brushing against Ethan as he guided them. They had grown stronger, healthier, and more confident since he had begun teaching them, and he felt proud in a way he had never experienced before. "They trust you completely," Lysera said softly. "And that trust has made them stronger than anyone imagined. You have done more than feed them, human. You have taught them courage, cleverness, and patience." Ethan nodded, still amazed at the journey that had begun simply with meals in the cafeteria. "I just did what I thought was right," he said. "I didn't know it would matter so much." "Rightness is the greatest strength," Lysera replied. "Even in our empire we value action guided by compassion above all else. That is why you were chosen." The children ran ahead toward the training chamber, laughing and chirping. Ethan watched them, feeling the familiar pulse of warmth from the bond they shared. It was steady, strong, and alive, linking them across species in a way that defied logic. He realized that this bond was more than emotional, it was practical. It gave the children confidence, focus, and resilience. And it gave him purpose. A sudden alert flashed on the holographic panel nearby. Lysera's eyes narrowed as she studied it. "There is a message from the Council. Some factions still question your role. They see humans as unpredictable. They demand reassessment of the Guardian's place in the children's lives." Ethan's chest tightened. He had faced dangers before, small attacks, intrusions, and crises, but the thought of losing the children or of being forced to leave made his stomach twist. He looked down at the green child, who rested its glowing head against his chest, and felt a surge of determination. "I won't let them take the children from me," he whispered. Lysera placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You won't need to fight alone. The bond we share now goes beyond authority or power. It is recognized by the Empire, by the heir, and by you. Your place is secure if you remain true to it." Ethan took a deep breath, letting the tension leave his body. He had a family now in the most unexpected way. And he would protect them, guide them, and teach them, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Over the next weeks, Ethan continued his work as guardian. He taught the children human problem-solving, how to think creatively when faced with danger, and how to work together as a team. The alien healers and engineers, initially skeptical, observed him carefully and began to incorporate some of his simple methods into their routines. His approach blended human ingenuity with alien precision, creating a new way of preparing the children for the future. One afternoon, as Ethan and the children played a small game of strategy using floating energy cubes, Lysera entered with a serious expression. "The Council has agreed to a formal ceremony," she said. "They recognize your role officially. You will be honored as the guardian of the heir. Your bond is now a symbol for both species." Ethan blinked in surprise. He had never imagined such recognition. Back on the colony, his life had been small and quiet. Now he was a figure of importance in a galactic empire. He looked down at the green child, who chirped happily and tugged at his sleeve as if to say, "You earned this." The ceremony took place in a grand hall aboard the ship. Holographic lights shimmered across the walls, and the council members, once skeptical, bowed respectfully. The children stood proudly beside Ethan, their small glowing forms a testament to the bond they shared. Lysera spoke first, her voice clear and commanding. "Ethan Cole, human of Colony Delta 7, has shown compassion, courage, and ingenuity. He has protected and guided my children when none other could. By the power of this empire and the recognition of the heir, he is now the guardian, our bridge between worlds, our symbol of unity." Ethan felt a warmth spread through him as he stepped forward. He looked at the council members, who nodded in respect, and then at the children, who chirped and glowed brightly. He knelt and held them close, feeling the pulse of the bond stronger than ever. After the ceremony, Ethan spent time exploring the ship and learning more about the Empire's ways. Lysera allowed him to walk through command chambers, teaching him protocols and showing him the reach of her power. Ethan realized that humans, small and fragile compared to the Draken, brought something unique to the Empire: creativity, compassion, and adaptability. These were tools that could not be replicated, and they gave him confidence. One evening, Ethan sat with the children on a balcony overlooking a distant planet. Its oceans reflected the starship's glow, and the vast horizon stretched endlessly. The children played quietly, their glowing eyes watching the stars, while Ethan felt a sense of peace. "You've changed everything for us," Lysera said softly, joining them. "Not only have you protected my children, but you have shown the Empire that humanity has strength beyond what we imagined. We are stronger together." Ethan smiled, feeling small yet powerful in a way he had never known. "I didn't know what I was doing at first," he admitted. "I just wanted to help them eat. But now, I know it's more than that. We've all grown. They've grown. And I've grown too." Lysera nodded, her eyes glowing faintly in the starlight. "And that is why the bond across worlds is stronger than any force. Trust, care, and courage create connections that even the most advanced power cannot break. You human are now part of that bond." Ethan looked at the children, the tiny figures glowing softly, and felt the pulse of warmth run through him again. He realized that he would never be alone. He had found a family, a purpose, and a place where his humanity was treasured. The starship sailed silently through space, carrying Ethan, the children, and Queen Lysera toward new adventures. Challenges would come, dangers would appear, but Ethan knew that with ingenuity, courage, and heart, they could face anything together. And as he held the green child in his arms, listening to its soft chirps, Ethan understood the truth. Kindness and human ingenuity had built a bridge across worlds. A bridge that would endure for generations, binding two species in trust, love, and a shared future. For the first time, Ethan Cole felt completely at home, not on a colony, not in a cafeteria, but in a galaxy where his heart, his mind, and his simple humanity had made all the difference.